Anthony Hartwig here with a Canfield Girls Basketball Coaches Corner with Matt Rio. Coach, one, congratulations on getting to the district championship. Two, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, thanks for having us. We're excited for Saturday.
All right, so let's break down this district semifinal first. Obviously, a very familiar opponent in West Branch, a very familiar coach that you've gone up against time and time again every year. You knew it was going to be a challenge. What were some of the things that you did so well to get past West Branch on Wednesday night?
I thought we really played really good defense in the second half. We did a much better job limiting Sophie Gregory, keying on her a little bit more. We were fortunate that they missed some threes that they normally make. And Carly Harmon and Cami Dill really made some huge baskets when they were making runs to kind of stem the tide and kind of thwart any chance of them coming back.
Like you said, it was slowing down Sophia Gregory, but you guys played them earlier in the season when Sophie was still healthy before she got hurt. Obviously, a lot of those girls though have grown since that time. What kind of differences did you see out of West Branch on film that made you know that this matchup was going to be a little bit different than the first time you saw them back in Canfield near the beginning of the season?
At this point of the year, both teams have grown a lot, and each team improves, and they were really feeling, I think, really good about themselves, and they should have because they're a good team, and we kind of knew that even though their record was deceiving throughout the year, they'd won 10 out of 11, and were playing really good basketball. And I think when Sophie was out hurt, I think that forced some other players to step into roles that. Maybe they were looking for her a little bit more in the season. I think they became more well rounded and a lot more confident team.
I think we ask you this after every win, it feels like, but you have such a balanced team. You never know what player's going to be your leading scorer. No one really has the huge edge in your statistics as far as the season averages go. What's that mean to this team, knowing that, last night it was Cami Dill, it could be Muckleroy on Saturday, it could be Sully, it could be anybody, and that's got to be really hard to defend for other teams.
I would think so. We have this year. I think we've had five different leading scorers, and we've almost had a sixth lead us. I think they're 1 point behind. Sometimes as a coach, you kind of like to know that you have somebody that's always going to get you 15. But the thing I'm pretty confident is somebody's going to step up and have a good game, and for us, I think that makes us well rounded. And I think it's just tough to defend and tough to scout because our girls are really unselfish, and they always find the person who has the hot hand that game.
Yeah, and you can also talk about this. It also it doesn't let you guys fall into the trap of that one girl being off and it derailing your offense. And what
Sure.
kind of benefit is that?
It's nice because throughout the 22 and we're like 24, 25 games in season. It's tough for the same person to be leading scorer every time. It's tough to be up for every game and play your best every game. And if someone has an off game, it's nice knowing that we have not just four players, but people off the bench that step in and give us quality minutes and quality time. And they have a lot of confidence in themselves and each other. So I think that's what's made this team very, very special is just the balance we have and the unselfishness.
We all know the best teams take even what are good performances and find things to get better at. So before we preview this matchup with Salem on Saturday, first want to preview this next couple of days of practice. What did you see from last night's game that made you want to improve on and made you want to get better at and made you know that if we're going to beat Salem, we have to do XX and X better?
At times we didn't do a great job on the rebounding battle, especially in the first half. We gave them a lot of second shots. We got our hands on a lot of 50-50 balls that we didn't come up with. Offensively, we were rushed a little bit. We tried to score too quickly without making a defense move. And we know against a really great defensive team like Salem, and even one against West Branch, where they played really, really well in the first half. We just felt we needed to move the ball more and just kind of fine tune some things, execute our baseline out of bounds plays better. Just little things and little details we had to clean up.
All right, you already had practice today, so you have one more practice. What do you think is going to be some of the things that you handle on a Friday? Are you a coach that likes to do the hard practice the day before the game, or do you like to maybe make today's practice a little bit more of the hard one? Which one is? How do you handle the 2 days between the semifinals and the finals?
I think it really depends on the team and the type of game you played before. Um, it was a very physical game, very emotional game, and our girls were still a little bit tired today, legs a little sore, not bad, but just a little normal after day soreness. So, we kind of make sure that we kind of just get their lactic acid going. We did a lot of shooting today. Tomorrow will be a little bit more intense practice, but the biggest thing we want to do is we want to make sure we have our legs back for Saturday, and we will. Tomorrow's just going to be a quick practice and a lot more intense and a little bit more up and down, but uh, it really depends on just the game you had before and the type of minutes your girls played. And we had some girls log some big minutes, so we want to make sure that they're healthy going into Saturday.
With that being said, that like you said, it depends on the game you played and how tired they are. How much do you rely on your girls to kind of be upfront with you and totally honest, like, hey, coach, like maybe today we don't need the hard practice because of the game that we played last night? Is that something that they're upfront about, or is that something that you just noticed as a coach?
A little bit of both. We do some things before practice where they got to do some hand grip strength, and we kind of keep track of that. And when their hands grip strength goes down, usually their legs are pretty close behind. So, we try to do a little bit more scientific way. I'll ask them, and a lot of times you can kind of tell just by the way they're moving if they're tired or not. And our girls are pretty honest. And at this point in the year, it's really not about going hard all the time. It's just doing
Mhm.
enough to stay sharp and just recovery because pretty much the hay's in the barn at this point. You're not going to change who you are. It's just making sure you're fine tuning your 100% going into Saturday.
Now we get to talk about Saturday. This is a matchup that I think as soon as the brackets came out, everyone on the outside was looking forward to. They were starting to pencil in Canfield versus Salem. Obviously, you guys as a coaching staff couldn't do that, but the outside, the fans were doing it for sure. Here we are, Canfield versus Salem. You played them already this year. It was a tough game for you guys. What kind of things do you see on film about Salem that make them so hard to kind of figure out and so hard for you guys to master?
Their team starts with Abby Davidson. She controls the game from the point guard spot. Very confident player. I think she instills a lot of confidence in their team. I'm very impressed with Riley Hutton. I'm amazed that she can play 32 minutes, guards the other team's best player, and is a big part of their offense, handles the ball, and never looks like she gets tired. And obviously, uh, Cami Roan is a real good player. She's very long and probably more defensive oriented than the offensive end. But what really impresses me is that they have some players that know their role and they fill it really well. Obviously, they're very good defensively, but I don't think they get enough credit for what they are offensively. So, they're a well-rounded team. They played together for a long time, and they have experience in big situations. So it's definitely going to be a challenge.
I feel like you already answered this question when you were talking about the West Branch game of the regular season, but how much do you kind of learn from the first game, considering that it was so early in the season and both these teams have changed a little bit? Do you still watch that film and see kind of the things they did against you instead of the things that you did against them, or do you kind of leave that film aside because it was so long ago?
I think you can gain certain things. I'm a bit of a film freak. I like to watch 5, 6, 7 games for each opponent, especially when you start getting in a tournament. And I think you can glean a few things from it. But both teams have changed there, and it was kind of a crazy, 5 days for us in Salem because we went and watched Marlington beat them at Salem, and then we went to Marlington and beat them, and then Salem beat us that Wednesday. So we kind of traded off playing, I think three of the better teams in the area, and I think those three teams are all pretty similar, and I think they're all pretty talented. So, we'll take some things from it, but both teams have changed so much since December 21st that I think recency is what you're really looking for.
When you watch and you start to think about the matchup and you're watching the film, I'm gonna. What is one thing like that's I don't want to say scares you the most, but what is one thing that concerns you the most about Salem? Is it their defense? Is it their offensive capability that's a little bit more this year than last year? What is the one thing that you think like is the biggest concern when you're looking at the matchup between you and them?
Um, there's so many things with them, but I think the biggest thing is I'm really impressed with how well they rebound. That's something that in my career I've always put a huge emphasis on, and I know Coach Hamilton Phillips does the same thing, and I'm really impressed with how well they rebound, and that's a huge key for us is to make sure even though we're not the biggest team, to make sure we compete on the boards with them, and I'd probably put that as number one.
I'm gonna flip it around too, because talking about this matchup on your end, what is one thing that you see from your girls and your team and the way it's made up that you think you can, yeah, excel at, or you can, kind of poke through the holes of the Quakers on film?
I think it starts with what we talked about earlier. I think we're putting out usually five players who can all pass, shoot, and dribble. And not every team has that, and we don't have that every year. And I think we do that at a pretty high level. And I think that puts a strain on your defense when you have players that can do that. And I think there's some things that we have trouble covering with certain teams, and I think a little bit of our diversity and our skill level is a tough cover for them.
You were Division 1 up until this season, and it was really hard to get to this point into a district championship in Division 1. How are the girls handling kind of the stage and kind of the setting up the stage of a district championship?
First of all, I think everybody thinks when you drop a division, it's going to be easier. It wasn't for us. We knew West Branch was going to pose a huge challenge with their history and how good their program is and what a great job Coach Cecile does. I think we were a little nervous last night. We had been in a district semifinal 2 years ago, but that was in the pandemic, and really no one was allowed to come. So really, none of our girls have been in that kind of intense environment. And early on, I think that affected us. But I think once we made a few shots, I thought they relaxed, and I was really proud of their resilience.
This Streetsboro gym is compact, it's small. It means the crowds are right on you. How much did that impact the atmosphere on Wednesday, and how much do you think it's going to impact the atmosphere on Saturday?
I don't think there's going to be any seats left Saturday. Um, you have two fan bases and two of the historically more successful programs in the area. I can't wait for the atmosphere. It's intense. They're right on you. Kind of reminds me of the old South Range gym. I always thought it was a huge home court advantage. Obviously, we're not going to have that, but Wednesday was a great environment. And competitors, our girls are competitors. I know Salem's are, West Branches are, and you want to play in front of people that are passionate and love the game. And I thought the crowds really showed that last night, and I expect nothing different on Saturday.
It's always a great interview when we can shout out your old days at South Range, for sure. When we first met, back in the day. But you're right, there are some similarities between the home court advantage you had back there at South Range, especially the baseline. That's one of the things that I'm sure your girls had to get used to as well. Not a lot of room between the baseline and the wall. What was that kind of like trying to get them to adjust to that? Or
Uh,
how's your inning?
um, I think once the game starts, they're used to it. Our middle school gym at Canfield that they all played in, has a restraining line. There's not much room. It's tight, and most middle school gyms are like that. So, you don't see it too much in the high school level, but I don't think that was a huge adjustment. I think just the intensity and the environment, and you know, getting to that level where both teams are just competing to their max. The fans are into it. I think that's a bit of an adjustment because you don't see that all the time during the regular season.
You guys have a chance on Saturday to cut the nets down, and claim a district championship. What would that mean to this program, to your players, to your coaching staff?
It's something that you always dream about at the beginning of the year. It's not something that we have as a goal. Um, you know, Everybody wants to do that. What would it mean? I think it would just mean that you continue what's been a really great season, and the biggest thing for us is just understanding that you know we're trying to enjoy the journey getting there and the intensity of the game. You can't really worry about cutting down the nets. What we're trying to worry about is just getting there and just trying to get them to understand that once the tip off goes, with all the hoopla and the intensity, it's just a basketball game. And the reason you play it is because it's fun and you love competing. And when our focus is on that instead of winning or losing, I think we're gonna have a much better chance.
How do you get that message across, especially for the seniors? I mean, they have to have a lot going on in their head because the further you go in the tournament, the better the teams are, and the greater the odds that it might be their last game. But like you said, you can't have that in the back of your head. How do you think, as a coach, you've been there, you've done that? How do you try to navigate getting that out of a senior's head to just make them go out and play their best?
I don't think you do that 2 days before. I don't think you do it the day of or anything like that. I think that's something that you have to really focus on in the season. And I'm not a great one to talk to because the district finals that I've been a head coach for, we've lost every single one.
Mm.
And so, what you're trying to do is just get them to understand and make it as routine as possible. And we were fortunate to have Coach Yeagley come and talk to the team last week, and then our coach, Coach Mike Papp, came and talked to him, and it was amazing how many similarities there are in the game of football versus basketball, where they both talked about preparation and focus, and loving the person next to you, and how that's the most important thing. And if you focus on those things, it gives you a much better chance. And our girls really embraced both of their messages, and I know there's something you learn from those two when they walk in the gym every time.
I mean, you look at you bring up a good point. You look at the athletics right now and where Canfield is. You got the football team, baseball, and Coach Niddle always successful. They're making runs like it's their job, and then you have Coach Collin, who won his 600th career win earlier this year. You got a lot of people that those girls can go in and take advice from and take meaning from. What's that like to be in an athletics room that's so tight knit and such deep with the tradition and the success?
What's unique about Canfield, and I think one of the greatest things is, our girls soccer has been tremendous for years. Our
Mhm.
girls softball won a district title. Our girls swimming's good. My wife, when we got married, she said, "What is Canfield not good in?" And I said, "I don't know." And that's something I'm very proud of. And for instance, I'm good friends with our wrestling coaches for years, and a lot of places the wrestling coaches and basketball coaches hate each other, and we just want to see each other win. And I think when you have that kind of environment where your head softball coach Mike Kernan's at our game, and assistants are there, and your head football coach is going to events, and you're trying to support each other. I think it makes it a special place to be, and it's not like that everywhere. And I think winning breeds winning, and when you share your athletes, I think it's great when they have different competitive experiences and be with different coaches. And I'm just proud to be a Canfield Cardinal.
Coach, that's a great way to kind of bid this one adieu. We thank you so much for your time. We wish you the best of luck on Saturday. Hopefully for you, you can get that championship off your back a little bit. And the next time we talk, you can proudly say that you've not lost every championship, and we can have that conversation. We wish you the best of luck, Coach, on Saturday. We'll be rooting for the best, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you.